Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all. So yeah, before we get into what we're doing today, I want to remind everyone that Gunforged is available for purchase. It's a great way to support me. It's my first real release as a full-time indie developer. It's a 2D roguelite action shooter, so if it sounds like it's up your alley, definitely give it a look and purchase it if you'd like to support me. You can also take a look at my Udemy courses. This one is the Survivors course in GDScript. It's got thousands of reviews. Wow, this is going to be a tough day, isn't it? It's got thousands of reviews and thousands of students. So it's a great way to kickstart your Godot learning journey, and it's a great way to support me. So check out the links in the description below for both of those things, or all of those things. And I very much appreciate any and all support. Okay. So, what are we going to be doing today? We have more stuff to do with the shop, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. So these things, these event pedestals, need some proper price randomization. They also need to disappear after you use them, and just generally need a bunch of improvements to the shop, like having some feedback to the player when they can't purchase somebody or something. Purchase somebody, oh my gosh, that's not that kind of game. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I guess I'm gonna be a little bit scatterbrained today. Hello Kinyaz, welcome. Your alarm clock is busted. You're an hour early again. Well, the nice thing about being self-employed is that I don't use an alarm. And also, yeah, I'm early because I have a meeting at 11, which is smack dab in the usual stream time. So my options were to either do a short stream or do a stream in the afternoon or in the morning before that. And I am here. I chose in the morning before that. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Louis T. Dev. Good morning. I recommended both courses. They are really complete and well made. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I have another course in the works as well. For those that are unaware, the online cooperative multiplayer course, I just recorded a handful of new lessons last night, so I still have to edit those, but it's closing in on completion and we're getting there. How do you handle game progress for data saved and loaded in your games? I use JSON. My games are relatively simple to save, so like Gunforged, there's no story or anything really, so the only things that need to be saved are your options and also your game progress. And the game progress is just a matter of like storing what you've unlocked and things like that. Although I'll give you a quick tip with regard to saving. If you're going to save the player's options, save them in a separate file, like an options JSON file. And if you're publishing on Steam, you don't want to synchronize that to the Steam cloud. So the options are a per device configuration, whereas the save file is sort of like the global save file that's tied to your account. So that's what I did with Gunforged. The options data is separate from the save data, and only the save data is synchronized to the Steam cloud. Hello, Adam. Welcome. Hello, A the Ant. Good to see you both again. Welcome, welcome. I tried config file for settings. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know why you would use anything except for JSON. Like, I know a lot of people want to use like YAML or config file or whatever, and it's like, I guess you're referring to the built-in support for the config file and project settings. But I don't know. I think it's easier to just store it in your own format and serialize and deserialize it. Hello, Define Dottie. Currently coding whilst watching coding. Awesome. Yes, indeed. Welcome. All right. My cat. He's being annoying again. You want to sit with me? Okay, you can sit with me. Hi. Hi. You're going to make an appearance? Okay, hi. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Aaron. Just woke up really now. All right, so time to get into it. Time to lock in. I have some to-do lists, or to-do notes here. To-do items. Set event type with the price. Oh, you know what? This is currently not configured. Let's see. What do I want to do with this price? So I need to randomize the price in here. Oh, that needs to be configured ahead of time. In the seeded run shop configuration here. Yeah, so let's do that. Public. Oh, wait. Goodness, this is going to be a difficult morning. All right. So there's my event configuration. This can turn into an event configuration there. And now we need to regenerate that properly. So let's do var. Let's do this. Where am I doing the prices here? Oh, I'm doing it in a for loop. I don't think I need to do that. I think I can do var event configurations is equal to events.select x, and then we'll do return new shop configuration dot event configuration with the event equal to x and the price equal to whatever price I establish up here. Okay, that'll work. Wish I could work on my own game as well right now, but my Mac is going to be sent in for repairs today. Oh, I'm sorry, Mia. Sorry about that. I have fortunately have had no issues with my Mac PCs, my Mac computers. They're not PCs, I guess. I don't think I've ever been in an Apple store. Oh, wait. No, I have one time. One time I was in an Apple store. Rude. I mean, I personally don't like Macs, but I think they're generally fairly reliable. All right, so our price is equal to rng.rand irange. Let's make these a little bit more expensive. Let's make this a little bit wider of a range. We're just kind of guessing. We'll balance this all later, but I think that's okay. So now I've got the shop configurations. Or the event configurations. So then the shop configuration, I can assign that here. Okay, so that should help us out. And then shop configuration. Let's do config.event, config.price. Okay, so now we can do that stuff in here. On GUI input. How am I doing it for the shelf? Let's look at the shelf here. How am I doing this? Let's see. Let's change this to purchased. And I'm going to actually get rid of this argument. emit signal purchased. We'll replace this with a purchase method. Okay. All the main options suck with respect to, oh, is that about Apple products or Macs? I don't know what that's in reference to. Hello, Neozoid, welcome back. Good to see you. Okay, go. So what do we need to do in here? I guess I'll just copy what I've got in the shelf here. Try take blood, int amount. Oh, I need to store the price in here as well. Okay, so this becomes if we can take that amount of currency. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just do return there. I might have to prevent multiple clicks here. Let me see. Is mouse input disabled? Yeah, let's do is mouse input disabled equals true there. That should turn that off, so I won't be able to double click it. And then inside of this shop container, pedestals.purchased plus equals pedestal. I don't really like that. Hold on a second. Oh, shoot. I have to do that in here. So yeah, pedestals, let's do pedestal.purchased on event pedestal purchased. Actually, I guess we can just pass in the config here. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so on event pedestal purchased, we're going to take in a shop configuration, .event configuration, config there. And then we'll just do this, config.event type, or .event rather. But I also need to disable that, so that way I know not to show that pedestal again. I gotta figure out how to remove the pedestal from the shop now when it gets purchased. Is purchased. Oh, that's the shelf. That's not where I want to be. All right, so how do I want to actually... Emit signal event type purchased. I don't know how I want to free that. I'm just storing an is purchased flag on here, so maybe I'll just do the same for the event pedestal. Private bool is purchased. Is purchased equals true. I think that will be okay. So maybe that's all I need to do then. I think that's all I need to do. Emit signal event type purchased. Is that it? I think I'm done. Only thing left to do is to try it. Let me build first, see if there's any build errors. With computers in general. Oh, yeah. Just found your channel, watching to get familiar with GDScript. Have a good stream. Oh, well, unfortunately, I'm not using GDScript, but welcome, Zerion. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. I like Mac for the most part. Would use Linux if I could, but too many things I use don't work on it. Yeah, that's my big hang up with using Linux as well. But as long as I'm not on Windows, I'm happy. Macs don't get much support because Apple sucks. Linux is hard to use and Windows is Windows. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't think it would be unfair to say that Mac has the best support, but the only reason for that is because it's a, singular hardware provider, right? So if anything goes wrong with your Mac, you take it to the Apple store and they fix it. If you don't buy like a pre-built Windows PC and you just build it yourself, then you're going to have to like get support from the individual components, right? So if your drive failed and the warranty is still valid, then you got to go through that process. And if your GPU fails or whatever, and if your PC is old enough where none of the warranties are in effect anymore, then you basically have to troubleshoot it yourself or pay somebody to do it for you. So there's pros and cons to everything. And yeah, if you have a problem with Windows, like I wouldn't even waste my time reaching out to Microsoft support. Like, I guarantee you that would be just a waste of time. So yeah. Hold on a second, I'm losing my mind. Use Red Star OS, all the Supreme leaders use it. Linux isn't particularly hard, it just can be janky, and if there's something that doesn't work, there's not guaranteed to be a solution. Yeah, that was my experience as well. Linux is the newest of the three. I don't know. Well, I guess that would be true, right? I think that depends a bit. It has roots that are definitely older, Unix, but I don't know about Linux itself. I usually have to go to Reddit to fix my PC's problems. Yeah, I'm sure the ChatGPT and whatnot help with that now too. Linux was released in 91. Welcome back, Vaughn. Goodness, I'm not able to talk today. This is not a good omen for the meeting I have later this morning. It's okay. We will continue marching on. So let's see. I didn't get any build errors. Let's go ahead and open this up. And I need a shop. I need a shop. Give me a shop. should just write down a couple of seeds. Okay, there's a shop right there. Cool. All right, so let me take a note of that seed. I'll write that down. Let's do this. Create seeded run. Kerblam. Then I'm also just going to go ahead and currency manager.add blood. I'm just going to give myself 100. I need to add like debug tools into here. There's actually a really cool plugin or add-on for Godot that has like a framework for adding dev commands. And I might do that. The only problem is I don't know how well it's going to work or not work with C#, but I'm going to have to take a look at that. All right, into the shop. See what we got here. Heart, upgrade, and enchant. I should probably add text for those things as well. So that didn't fade out at all, but that's all right. Let's see if it goes away. It's still here. What in the heck, man? Okay, but the price is working. Why aren't those being played out? Oh, probably because I added that condition right. Play out is purchased. I guess I'll just remove that. I guess there's no reason for that to be there. Let's go ahead and try again. What kind of meeting do you have later? I probably can't talk about it. I probably shouldn't talk about it. It's very sensitive. Top secret. Only those with the privileges to know can know. Sorry, Drew. I wish I could give you an answer, but I actually probably shouldn't talk about it. Hello, oh my gosh, I already said hello. I'm so scatterbrained this morning. This is not good. This is not good at all. Mac was 84, Windows 85. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that that order makes sense because it's usually the case that the proprietary stuff comes first and then like the open source community stuff comes later to like sort of emulate or create an alternative to the proprietary stuff. If your hobby is tinkering with your OS, use Linux. If you want something that just works, use Windows. I can't think of a good reason to use a Mac. It's literally just spending more for older tech. Yeah, so I think I will sort of make the case for a Mac. So first, like we were talking about, the support is better for people maybe who aren't as computer literate, who don't have as good troubleshooting capabilities. So because Mac has such a tightened down and buttoned down ecosystem with a lot of QA in terms of the apps that are available and whatnot, I think it creates generally just a more streamlined user experience. And then also if you have a hardware problem, you can just bring it into an Apple store and they'll basically tell you what's wrong with it and fix it, or tell you to buy something new. So I think that Apple products are probably good for people who aren't as computer literate, who don't want to spend time tinkering or debugging, who want just like a tightened up and buttoned down ecosystem where everything's like very controlled. But yeah, if you have computer literacy, like I personally, I wouldn't choose a Mac for my day-to-day work. But you know, you work in software engineering, you work in the startup realm, they send you a Mac. You don't really have a choice. Like a lot of companies, their engineering departments don't even use Linux or Windows machines for like the developers. Of course, you'll use like Linux machines in the cloud when whether you're running like EC2 instances or whatever, or Docker containers. But yeah, for the most part, they just hand out Macs and that's what you work with, which can also be a benefit because then everyone's running basically the same hardware. The setup instructions for onboarding are a lot easier because you can just follow the same steps that everyone else follows. Windows works half the time. Yeah, the problem with Windows is it degrades over time for some reason. My experience is that Windows breaks most of all three by far, and Mac has been the most stable. Granted, hardware might play a part in it too. Yeah, so to be an apologist for Microsoft now, I think Microsoft has a ton of challenges, right? One of the challenges is they're trying to maintain backward compatibility with applications that are like 20 years old, right? And that's got to be a very difficult task to do when the technology landscape is changing a bunch. I don't think Apple does that at all. I think they basically are okay with saying, yeah, these old apps are going to be incompatible with the new line of hardware, the new iOS or the new Mac OS updates and whatnot. So Windows has to contend with maintaining decades of backward compatibility, but they also have to contend with having just like a near indefinite number of computer configurations, right? All kinds of different hardware and peripherals and all this stuff. And so, you know, you could imagine how that'd be a very difficult task. But still, you know, they're also a multi-billion-dollar company, and it shouldn't break as much as it does. You've ever had to wait on a PC release for a game? You always have to wait for a Mac or a Linux release? Right. Remember when you'd get a Mac if you were doing stuff like Photoshop or graphic design? Right, yeah. Hello again. Yep. But I'm using Linux for 3 years now, and it just works. Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you're doing with Linux, you know? Kineas was just saying the other day how he keeps breaking his kernel. Gaming Windows is better, not because Windows is actually better, just because it's the standard. Right, yeah. Been a developer for 10 plus years, and I've used a Mac for 6 years now. I prefer it for dev. It has its uses for dev. I mean, one of the big advantages that Mac has over like a Windows PC for dev is that it's Unix based. So it's when you're going to those technical forums, it's a lot easier to get done what you're trying to get done. My company uses Windows, but yeah, we're dealing with being forced over to Windows 11. It's been a distraction. Sounds right. I use my Windows box for Linux box to tinker, find I can get more done faster on my Mac. Another thing I really like about Mac is Raycast. Hard to go back not using that. I don't know what Raycast is. I'll have to look that up. I love the color palette you chose for this game. How do you come up with one? Do you use a website, or you came up with that from my mind? No, so I don't have any experience like designing color palettes or anything. So I got this off of low spec. It's called Witching Hour. So if you're interested, you can just go and pull that down. So yeah, I'm not yet at the stage in my artistic journey where I feel comfortable choosing my own colors. I need my hand held with the colors still. I don't plan on releasing for Mac because of compatibility issues, complicated proprietary tools, and it being so locked down. It can be a pain, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm working on a project right now, which, you know, we're releasing apps for the App Store, and the amount of like just hoops you have to jump through to get everything like buttoned down and approved and all that stuff, it's difficult. Witch Hour, good one, good one. Can't blame anyone for that. One of the things I really dislike about Apple is how hard they make it for people not using Macs to support them. Yeah, I get you. It's 9 for me. It is also 9. It's 9:20. Anyway, let's see if this works. So I purchased that. It goes away. Boom, boom. It doesn't come back in. I can't purchase it again. Let's mash the click. Oh, wait. All right. So there is a problem here. So I need this playout to not play if it's already been purchased. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do something a little bit janky here. When I go into my shop container and I do play fade out, I'm doing this if not is instance valid. This is no longer, I think I was queue freeing the pedestals before, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to instead, if pedestal.is purchased, I'm not going to play out there. So I think that should work. You keep saying you're not artistic, but for me, you already made really high quality for a prototype placeholder. Yeah, thank you. I mean, the art is, a lot of this art is going to be final. Some of it still needs tweaks, but yeah, I think my skills in terms of like drawing things is definitely getting better, but I haven't really practiced like coming up with my own colors for things yet. So I don't know how good I would be at that, but it would take practice like usual, you know? What the heck, man? Oh, it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I just basically did something that was logically equivalent to what was happening before. So basically, I don't need this playout. I need this playout to be called when I click it, but I need it to not be called any other time in the future. Okay, let's undo all that. I'm going to just, I don't know. I don't really care how well this is written. Is visible equals true. If not is visible, return. There we go. I'm just going to do that. Get rid of this. Whatever, we'll just store a bunch of booleans in the class and call it good. Boom, boom, boom. Goodbye. Kerblam. Into the shop. Boom. That health fades out. It shouldn't fade back in now if I click another one. It also doesn't fade back in. Wonder if I should keep those pedestals there and just make them empty. I think it's fine for now. Okay, that took way longer than it should have, but we got it. We got it. That took way longer than it should have. Is there a way to... Ooh. Can I revert this line? Revert selected ranges. Oops. So I'm not allowed to just revert this one line. That's okay. Actually, maybe I'll just keep that there for now. We can just commit these separately. Okay, add proper event purchasing. Okay. So now we got to come up with some feedback for when the player can't afford something. Maybe we'll berate the player for being poor or something, or, you know, otherwise denigrate them for being economically disadvantaged. Obviously, I think the obvious thing to do would be to outline this in red or something. I also need some text down here to show what these are. I'm going to do that real quick, actually. That's a big thing that I think I need. So the text now, canvas group. Let's add a child node label. Let's do like 128. That's fine. Up one minimum size needs to be 128. Okay, and then we'll set this to center. That did not work at all. How big is the canvas group? I'm gonna have to probably just eyeball this. Can I make this like centered? Okay, well. I'm just gonna eyeball this. Okay, event label, access as unique name. So we'll get the event label in there. Set event type, event resource, event label.text is equal to event resource.name. Okay. So now we want to set event label.visible equal to false. On mouse entered canvas group dot material. Okay, private void show hover, private void hide hover. So show hover do that. Event label dot visible equals true. Hide hover. Okay. Show hover in here. Give me the autocomplete. Boom. Thank you. And then in here, hide hover. Hide hover. Okay. Just purchased your Survivor Style Godot course. Can't wait to finally finish a roguelike. Thank you, Monkey Software. Very much appreciate that. I hope you enjoy it. And of course, this goes for anyone. If you purchase my courses and you get into it and you have questions, you can absolutely reach out to me in the Udemy Q&A or by email. I try to help as much as I can. So when you purchase the course, you're also purchasing some kind of, you're purchasing like the ability to ask one-to-one questions about, you know, what's going on in the course or how to approach certain things. So that's another benefit. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. We all love to see that message. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And always generous, thank you. Yummers indeed. Yummers, yummers. What? Oh, you might be new to the stream, Monkey Software. Snupbill comes in here basically every day and leaves us with a glorious yummers message. It's become a little bit of a stream tradition. It's like $1 USD for us Americans. Yes, but it's still very generous. Still very generous. Hello, Turbo Shook. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Cool Modder Jaden. I'd have combined those two checks even if the isInstance valid check is redundant at that point. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's never going to get freed, so it's not just redundant, it's useless. Because it never gets freed. Did I miss you? Yes, indeed. Welcome back, Ariane. I think it's funny that it's becoming part of my morning routine to watch these streams. I'm glad to have you here. Lots of people have this as their routine. Why did I choose C#? Are there specific cases where you prefer one over the other? I'd prefer GDScript for web exports as of right now because that's not supported by C#, but otherwise, yeah, C# is just a personal preference. I get a lot of structure out of it, so that's basically it. That took way longer. Yeah, programming in a nutshell. Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Parallel Highway. Welcome back. You were about to ask the... Oh, my chat is... C# is more performant in certain situations, yes. The top line thing that you need to understand, though, is that whether you're using GDScript or whether you're using C#, fundamentally, you're interacting with the Godot API, which has to go through the C++ layer. So if you're basically just using C# as a drop-in replacement for GDScript, the bottleneck is not necessarily like... I mean, GDScript is slower, but the bottleneck is not necessarily... the individual language performance. The bottleneck is interacting with the Godot API layer. So I think somebody on Reddit did a performance analysis of like, you know, GDScript and C# doing the same things with the Godot API, and C# was like basically not faster because it's not about C#'s performance. It's about the performance of, you know, marshalling the data to get into the C++ layer and then the C++ code running and then, you know, sending back those variant types to the C# API or C# layer. And it's, yeah, if you wrote a pure like C# loop that does not interact with Godot in any way, then yeah, it would be faster than a similar loop written in GDScript. But in a realistic scenario, you're going to be interacting with the Godot API so much that it's not going to make that big of a difference. You're about to ask the same thing about the C#. If you know the size, you can type math expressions in the inspector to place it precisely. Yeah, I know. I think maybe I should do that. Let's see. This size is what? 34? So this would be what the transform position in the X. So this would be 128 divided by 2 minus 34 divided by 2. Oops. Maybe that should be negative. Yeah, negative 47. There we go. It does look a little bit off still, but did I do my math right? I feel like I didn't do my math right. So 34, it's 128. I think I had it at 49 before, even if that's not mathematically correct. No, it is. I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe I did my math wrong. Wasn't trying to downplay it, just wanted to give a baseline for those who couldn't tell. Oh, got you. Yeah, yeah. The moment I get off work, I go to your stream. Nice. Crazy, the streamers I follow all got employed at the same week this month. Really? Maybe the economy is turning around. It's been rough in terms of tech. I have a friend who's trying to get a junior developer position, and he sent out like hundreds of applications and only has had like 2 interviews. So anyway, this is your first time watching the stream. Well, welcome, Adam. Good to have you here. Glad you chose to spend your morning with me. It's funny. I got employed 2 months ago after 200 job applications. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough for sure. All right, so let me see. Did I do everything? Let's see. Basically, the only thing I need to see is if that label is showing up correctly. Boom, boom, boom. Ooh, that's not good. So I actually don't want this to be a part of the Canvas group. I think that'll be fine. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Skip that. Sweet. All right. That seems to be working pretty good. So now we need some kind of feedback for when the player can't afford things. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Because it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit wonky here. We've got these outline material, which has this color. I could change the outline material color. I might have to do that. This is shader parameter color. Let's start with the event pedestal. So we'll do private static read only string name shader color. So on mouse enter, show hover. Let's do this. Outline material. Set Shader color, game constants dot color. Red. So this would be currency manager dot has blood price question mark game constants dot color white, otherwise red. Okay, let's see if that works. And then I'll do the same for the shelf. I could probably test this with the local scene actually, but this doesn't take much effort to test. Oh, shoot, I'm still giving myself 100 blood. So let's get rid of that. I'm also looking for another job, man. The traveling takes a toll on me. Oh, you gotta travel for like in-person interviews and stuff? How is Gunforge doing since your video a couple months ago? Did it boost sales any? No. I'm getting like a handful of sales per day, but it's nothing major. I would say that the majority of Gunforge sales have already happened, but we'll see. I mean, there might be a sale coming up soon. We'll see if Gunforge sells any copies during that. But I'm more focused on getting the next game out now. I'm not going to necessarily dwell on Gunforged too much. Okay, so this is not working at all. So my shader parameter must be wrong. So maybe this is just color. I always forget how to do this. How's the game development today? It's going well. Thank you, Jackie Daytona. Welcome. Have a pop-up that says, stop trying to steal stuff, you broke AF, bro. Yeah. I've been tempted to add some goofy elements to this game, but I do think that this game is better served with a more serious tone. But I've been tempted to add some goofy things to this game. Okay. I did it, by the way. I rewrite this behemoth of a script and now has 400 lines. Does the same thing. Thanks to all for words of encouragement and tips. You're welcome. Glad to hear that. Hey, thank you, Defined Dottie, for the £2. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. And you are welcome. Yeah. You are welcome. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. Going to the office where I do supposedly productive work. Oh, I see, I see. Oh, you're saying your current job is a toll, right? Have the shopkeeper shake his head no. Ah, man, if I could, I would be stretching my art skills yet again. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's get the same thing in place for this shelf. Okay. That would be a lot of work, yes. Stretching art skills is a good thing, it is. I'm here to scope creep for you. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the scope creep. Very kind of you. Okay, so these are there as well. So I guess I could add some kind of animation if you try to click it, like a little shake animation. Do I want to do that? We can try it. Private void play invalid. Bar tween equals create tween. Tween dot tween property. I don't know what this property is, or I don't know what the node is going to be, but we're going to do string node2d dot property name dot position. Let me look at my shelf scene and see what needs to be animated. So this canvas group here has a position of 0, 0. What about my pedestal? This has a position of 3, 2. Why does it have a position of 3, 2? Although there is an animation route here that I can use. Okay, I'll figure it out for the pedestal, but for the shelf, it looks like I could just do the canvas group here. So do canvas group. Let's do tween.setLoops, maybe 4. And we'll do vector2.left. Okay, we'll try that. So when we purchase, if we don't have the blood, we'll do play invalid. Let's see if that works. Suggestion, the border you have on the health bar should also be on the icons. They feel dull somehow and blend into the background. The border we have on the health bar. On the, like the status icons, are you talking about? Okay, that looks pretty good. I just need to probably reduce the number of loops. Yeah, I'm not sure, DG Temp, which border you're talking about. Oops. Okay, that works great. And then I'll do the same thing for the pedestal here. Private void play invalid. In this case, we're going to want a reference to the animation route. So private node2d animation route. We got to mark this as a unique name. Okay. Play invalid. Return. This game is getting close to feeling playable. It is. It really is. It's almost there. And by almost, I mean probably several more weeks of work. I just want to get it so that you can play the first level and have a decent amount of content and then like just start collecting feedback from there. And you know, don't go too deep into like all the overarching systems or the progression necessarily. Just try to get this done, working well, and see how people like it. Cool. So now if I sell some things, I should be able to purchase that now. Just sell a bunch of things here. Okay, if I purchase that, I can have that. And I can purchase the health increase. And now I can't purchase anything else. Cool. All right, that's simple enough. That is simple enough. All right. Let's go ahead and commit those. Do you have any advanced courses on 3D Godot? I do not. I'm sorry. I don't know much about 3D and Godot. Yes, but any kind of border, just whatever you feel like, just some depth. I just don't know what icons you're talking about. I guess the combat icons, is that the status icons? So let me go in. I just want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. So in here, if I go in here and I play this, so when the fire appears, I think that might be what you're talking about. So here, right? Okay, I got you. Yeah, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with those icons. I could add them to that, but I think it would have to be... I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. I'll have to figure out what to do with that. Okay, that's looking great. So now what I want to do is I want to have like an animation for when you earn some blood through a combat encounter. Right now, you just kind of like beat the enemy and it fades out. There's no real indicator that you've earned some currency. So I would love to do something about that. I just don't know exactly what form that's going to take. But we'll have to see. That needs to be fixed too. Into the boss fight. The boss fight doesn't have a combat thing right now, so I'm going to need to add that. Oh goodness, lots of stuff to do. Okay, I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break, and when I come back, let's experiment with adding some interesting ways of showing the player that they've earned some currency. So I think what I might do is I might just play like a blood spray animation from the board and have a bunch of blood trail go and like tick up the currency and then fade out the combat encounter. So it's like when you beat the combat encounter, you'll extract a bunch of blood from them, it'll tick up your currency, and then they'll fade out like they've been drained of life or whatever. I think that will be interesting. It's just a matter of seeing how well I can design that particle system. I actually don't know how that's going to work. Very interesting. We'll play around with it, but yeah, that's going to be the plan. So we'll go ahead and do that. But I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break. In the meantime, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways you can support my work. Give me 3 minutes. I'll be right back and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. All right, let's see what we can do about this particle effect. Inside of here, it might actually be sensible to generate. Yeah, so basically I want like a blood burst to go here, and it would be cool to have like a stream of blood go over into like where the currency tracker is and then have that tick up. You know what I might do? Let me think. What might I do? Let me think. What might I do? Let me think. What might I do? Let me think. So let's do a blood particle first. I'm just going to design the particle here because I can see the screen. I can see like the relative sizes of everything. So that's going to make it easier to design the particle. So I'm going to do that first, and then I will extract this into its own scene later. But let's just assume the particle starts here. We want assets effect. Do we want particles with an outline? Oh, the problem with these particles though. Just do particles no outline, I suppose. Okay. New particle process material. Okay. Emission shape sphere 32. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Velocity, we want this to be 0, -1. Spread 45 is probably okay. 100. 300. We're going to turn the gravity way up. Angular velocity. Okay. Display scale min, max. Scale curve. Okay, that works. Color initial ramp. Get rid of this. Okay, that works. Maybe I'll also do... Oh, this needs to be constant interpolation. No, that looks terrible. That looks terrible. Why'd you guys tell me to... Oh, that looks better. Okay. All right, so that looks good. I may actually increase this max to 3. Where's my lifetime randomness? Let's tighten up the spread a little bit. The gravity could be a little bit higher. No, I think 1200 was fine. You know what? I'm going to turn this emission shape radius back up a lot and then also increase the amount. I don't know how this is going to look in game, but we'll try it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Got to get the different particle textures in there. Okay. Okay. I'm just imagining, I think what I'll do is I'll create a bunch of little tiny blood icon scenes. So this will explode. The blood icons will shoot out from the board, just like randomly, you know, and then they'll kind of like rubber band their way over here and tick that up. I think that's what I want to do. Unfortunately, that's not going to be very testable. So yeah. How is this going to work? Let's save this branch as a scene. Scene effect. I'm trying to figure out how much I want to... Let's do enemy killed. Enemy defeated, maybe. We're gonna have to do a bunch of coordination in here probably. So let's do enemy defeated. This needs to be one shot on. Add child node animation player. See what everyone's saying here. Hello again, A the Ant. How do you finish the map or the level? Would there be some motivation for getting through the level and not stalling? So there is a quote-unquote time mechanic. It's not a real time mechanic, but it's you can do 10 traversals before you are forced into the boss fight. So I'm modeling this after kind of like Raven's Watch, or now Elden Ring Night Rain, right? So you have a fixed amount of time before you're forced into the boss fight in both of those games. But those are real-time games, right? And so I'm kind of borrowing that, but in a more turn-based way, where it's like you only have 10 traversals or 10 nodes you can visit before you are just automatically thrown into the boss fight. And so that's kind of the constraint that you have. And there could be, you know, anywhere from 15 to 20 nodes on the map. So you have to choose a subset of that 15 or 20 nodes that you want to visit before the boss happens, or the boss fight happens. You bleed white, that's concerning. Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Hello, Chris. Yes, early stream again. Yeah, I have a meeting in an hour, so I need to attend that. You're welcome, Blake Arnold, and welcome back. Do you conceptualize your systems before implementing them in diagrams, for example? No, I don't. No, I do not. I can see how that could be helpful, but yeah, I just never... I never found... I'm just the kind of person that just finds documentation generally not that helpful. I'm of the opinion very much that your code base should communicate what's being done very clearly. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it kind of forces you to write cleaner, more understandable code. But number two, if the code is quote-unquote self-documenting in that way, then you don't need to maintain two different sources of truth, right? Because you have documentation as a source of truth and your code is a source of truth. And if you're not being very diligent in making sure that the documentation matches the code, then those things are going to become out of date. And I'm actually dealing with this in my part-time job right now. There's a bunch of documentation about how to deploy the systems to production and whatnot, but I went into the code and I'm like, that's not how the systems are deployed anymore at all. So like this documentation that I was given as part of the onboarding process is just wrong. And if I wasn't as experienced as I am, I may have done something catastrophic by following an outdated release procedure. So that's the main reason I don't like documentation, is not that it can't be helpful, it's that it becomes out of date if you're not diligent about it, and basically no one is diligent about it. Now, in terms of planning, you know, maybe a diagram would be more useful for planning to get everyone on the same page. But if you're planning on like keeping that diagram updated, I don't think that generally happens. Hello, Cass. Your tip about the driver was correct. Gunforged is a fun game. What are your favorite builds? Well, I'm glad that that was the issue, and I'm glad that you got it fixed. And thank you for purchasing Gunforged. What's my favorite build? I really like the Necromancer gun, and there's a passive that you get later in the game that can spawn a shade, which is like a little ghost thing that applies haunt and whatnot. So I like to go all in on that and get the flesh golems, which are probably things you haven't encountered yet. So yeah, but that's definitely my favorite. Okay, so in this animation here, this enemy defeated. This animation player, let's add a call method track to this. At the end, we're gonna call queue free. This is a nice little tip too. This is self-freeing particles. So you can create a particle system that plays and frees itself without writing any scripting, without doing any scripting rather. And all you gotta do is just set up an auto-playing animation player that toggles the emitting to on here, and then calls queue free on the root node after that. So as soon as I add this to the tree, it'll play by itself and it will free itself. So I don't even need to add a script to this right now. Okay, so we've got that enemy defeated particle. So now I need to come up with a way of doing the currency. So let me create a new scene, 2D scene. We'll do sprite 2D. No, what am I doing? Currency. Let's call it earned currency visual, or maybe just earned currency. Okay. Put this blood icon there. This one is going to have to be given a script. I don't need this. Okay, so let's do this. What am I looking for? Oh, it's in the player inventory. Currency display. Oh, shoot. I'm gonna have to send this. All right, let's not worry about the exact target location for now. Let's just public void play. From position, we're going to say global position is equal to from position, var tween is equal to create tween. What am I doing? Tween property, this string node2d dot property name dot global position. Direction is equal to matthewtil.rng.rand direction times matthewtil.rng.rand I range 3264. Okay, so this is going to be global position plus direction over 0.2 seconds. Set ease out, set tween dot transition type dot back. Then we're going to do tween dot tween property. Float delay. I am going to want a delay in there, but I don't know exactly how that's going to go. Between that tween property, node 2D dot property name dot global position. Let's just do vector 2 dot 0 0.5f set ease type dot out set transition tween dot transition type dot, let's just try quart for now, and then let's do tween dot tween callback callable dot from queue free. Okay, we'll see how all that works. Now I actually need to handle that defeat. Okay, so in my run manager, on queued combat handled. I'm gonna do some changes in here. State player died, async void enter state player died. Await those things. I'm gonna change this. I don't like this whole block of code in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut that state machine.change state combat victory. Okay, let's create a new state for that. State combat. State machine.add states, state combat victory. Enter state combat victory. Let's create that. Private void enter state combat victory. I'm gonna paste all these things in here. Private void state combat victory, just to have a dummy state because of how the state machine works. Await enemy board.kill. Okay, so let's do this. Async void. Interesting. So I've got the enemy board here. Do I have a center position on this enemy board? Okay, I'm just going to try something here. How do I want to do this? Create an effects node 2D. We'll lock it. Node private node 2D. One second. Okay. Hello, plows. Welcome back. I want to know what unhandled input and input function does. So those are just basically different ways of handling input. So if you do the normal underscore input function, there's a certain order in which the nodes in your tree will be fed inputs. And if you override the input function, then that marks the node as being able to handle the input. And typically when you want to handle an input, you'll override that input function. You'll check if the input event is something that you want to handle. And if it is something that you want to handle, then you mark the input as handled. So a handled input is basically an input that has already been addressed and handled by an input function somewhere, and it will not continue propagating through the tree, which means that other nodes in the tree are not going to receive that same input event. And then unhandled input is basically just another way of saying, okay, if nothing has handled the input yet, then you can fall back to an unhandled input. So they're just different ways of, handling inputs. The input method is called first before unhandled input. So any inputs that are sent to the tree that end up not being handled by anything will end up in the unhandled input override, if that makes sense. Hello, Rin, welcome back. Man, your pixel art looks incredible. Thank you, I appreciate that. How did you learn to do that? Been making projects in Godot for a bit and done my first game jam recently, but still been using assets from itch. Yeah, so I actually have a video on this channel, which is the 5 most impactful tips that I learned for pixel art. So I would encourage you to look at that. But the short answer is that you need to adopt some constraints like a limited color palette and limited canvas size, and then you just need to practice. But again, I have more information about that in that video, so you can take a look at that if you're interested. And I think you'd be surprised at how quick you can get to a state of competency with pixel art. But thank you, I appreciate that, Bucky. And welcome to the stream. Okay. So in the enter state combat victory, this is going to be a little bit iffy, but I'm going to do public packed scene. What did I call this? Enemy defeated. I don't like this, but I'm just going to put that in there. Enter state combat victory. Okay, so let's do this. Let me do this. Let me think. We're gonna need those blood particles too. What did I call that? Earned currency. Earned currency scene. Okay. Var enemy particles is equal to enemy defeated particles scene.instantiate as GPU particles 2D. Okay. Effects.add child enemy particles dot global position is equal to enemy board dot. There's no center position. Public vector 2 center position. For var I equals 0, I is less than. Let's get the combat configuration up here first. Combat configuration dot currency I++. Earned currency scene.instantiate. Earned currency. I'm going to say earned currency dot play. Enemy board dot center position. Okay. We are going to add the blood here. I have to figure out what to do about that, so we'll figure that out later. Unregister enemy board. So we're going to do all of this stuff first. Unregister board. Combat widget play fade out. Spawn the enemy particle. So let's do this. Await 2 signal. I'm going to clean all this up, but I'm just going to get something working for now. I'll set the enemy board to null here. No, I can't do that. Do it after that. Well, I have no clue if that's going to work. Let's see. Oh, I have to assign those things. I have Ace Bright, but man, I don't have an artistic bone in my body. I will give it a watch, though. Thank you. Yeah, even though you may not feel artistic, I think you'd be surprised at how quickly you can get to a level of competency where you could make art for your own games. You know, maybe don't expect to, you know, become the next concerned ape or whatever. But you can definitely create competent pixel art very easily, I think. It's only if you use if statements. Oh, goodness. We have two pun wizards in the chat now. Adam and A the Ant. All right, let's see what happens here. I don't think this is going to look that great, but let's see. Ooh. Okay. Not quite my tempo. Okay. Let's get a little bit more delay in here, I think. So let's do this. Okay, let's see if that works. So I'm adding a 1/10 of a second delay to all those things, which may be a little bit too high, but let's see. See if that works a little bit better. Interesting. I think this needs to be in instead. We'll just keep testing it. We'll just keep testing it. All right, let's see. Interesting. It's looking better. It's looking better. I almost wonder if this shouldn't be one shot. Let's see. Heard my name, what I do? Oh, you're just punny. Yeah. For sure, yep. Oh my goodness. I almost read that one too. I almost read that one. Do you have an animation player on that Sprite 2D, or are you doing all the animating through code? Are you talking about the blood? The blood is being done with a tween. So the blood that comes out here is being done through a tween. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think, though, there's something weird about this still, which I'm not entirely sure of. Let me edit the particles process material again here. Like the blood effect, seems like a controlled siphon versus a wild splat. Yeah, I think the siphon is better because then it... The problem though is I think that this... I think there maybe needs to be more coverage. Can I use like 100? Might be too much. Maybe I'll turn this down. Let's see what that does. Almost wrecked him. See, I said it. There you go. Passed my software engineering and programming exam, so relieved. Congratulations, Hyro. Thank you. Can we get claps in the chat for Hyro? Congratulations. Let's see those clap emojis, everybody. Send in the claps. Let's go. Let's do it. Congratulations, Hyro, on passing those exams. It's going to be real awkward if no claps come in. There we go. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Thank you. A the Ant, Chris, Adam, thank you. Yeah, congrats. Clap emoji, Ninja Link. There we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you. More claps from A the Ant. Oh, that looks pretty cool. What do you guys think of that? So let's take a look. What do you guys think of this? So blood, the blood comes out and we get that little effect. So obviously that blood is going to go over here instead. I think that looks pretty good, honestly. I think maybe I'll just speed up the blood particles a little bit, but let's see. The particles, I'm not entirely in love with the particles here. I like how these blood drops are coming out though. I do like that quite a bit. I think what I can do is I can make this 1.5 seconds and I put this at 0.75 so that will last a little bit longer. And then for the delay in here, I'm going to do 0.06. Let's see. And then once that finishes, then everything fades out. I actually don't know if I want to fade out the combat widget here. Just play around with some things here. Don't really know what exactly to do, but thank you, Clark, for the claps. It's been so cool to see the progression from a couple of weeks ago till now. It's looking so good. Thank you. Hello, Cursed. Probably overkill, but rotating the blood drops as they tween to their end location might look cool. I thought about that. Yeah, the problem is which way would I rotate them? Would I rotate them so the fat end is going toward their destination? I guess so, right? want to try something real quick. Ooh, I actually don't know if I'm going to beat these villagers, but let's see. Yeah, that heal to full, I think I need... I'm hesitant to use timers in places like this, but they are very helpful when you're doing animations and whatnot. Oops. Okay, I've got a half hour until I got to go to my meeting, so let's take the next 15 minutes or so and see if we can get this to actually go to the currency here. It's a little bit too fast. Turn that down as well. The other thing is I want to be conscious of like not making the player sit through like super in-depth animations, because that can get annoying, especially if you play the game a lot. So I'm trying to make the animations all, you know, not too hard to sit through, you know? Okay. So that's looking good, I think. I'm not in love with the blood particles, but I like the blood drops for sure. So we'll have to figure that out. But everything's a work in progress. Everything's iterative, you know? Perhaps the smaller particles should have the same explode effect as the larger ones, so they end up in the same spot. Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe. Maybe you could have the blood drop counter bounce as the droplets hits it. Ooh, bounce effect, grow and shrink. Maybe, yeah. Love your focus on game juice and animations. Honestly, probably one of the most underrated important things on games. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, juice is very, very important. Game feel is very important. Like it's sucking into the counter or whatever. I see. Yeah, let's get it moving to the counter first, and then we'll figure that out. So unfortunately, I need to get the position of this thing, this texture rect, which is multiple layers removed from anything reasonable. So I'm gonna have to think about this. The easy way to do it is just to assign a group to this texture rect and then just have them move to that group and then handle a fallback. That's probably what I'm going to do if I'm being honest. What I am going to do actually is I'm going to actually do a marker 2D. And what I'm going to do is, let's call this currency. Let's target location. So currency target location, let's make this a unique name. Inside of the currency display, let's do this. Public static read-only string. Currency target group name is equal to currency target. Node private marker 2D currency target location. Currency target location dot add to group. Currency target group name. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and do that. And then what I'll do in the earned currency here is I'll set the destination. So var destination is equal to get tree dot get nodes in group currency display dot currency target group name, and we'll get first node in group as a node 2D, or we'll just default this to vector 2.0, and this needs to be global position. So we'll try to get that from the tree, this group, And if the group is not there for whatever reason, maybe we're in a test scene or whatever, then we'll just fall back to the top left of the screen. And that will be fine. And then in here, I can put that destination there. Okay, so let's see if that works. And then I'm going to need to do the animation for ticking up the currency value, because right now it's just instantaneously changing. But one thing at a time, one little step at a time. Why are the particles going to the top left are being collected by something? Or, oh, I just answered that, yeah. So we haven't actually made it. They should go to the currency now. There we go. See that? So now they're going to where the currency is displayed there. Perfect. So we just need that currency thing to tick up when each of them hits their location. You know what I mean? That's going to be a little bit tricky, I think. Because what I want to do is I want to change the underlying currency value immediately, but just have the display animate in accordance with those I mean, I could do it with a tween as well. Problem is, though, I'm going to need a reference to that currency display, or am I? Let me think. I actually don't know how I'm going to do that. Feels very much like 2 discrete steps to the blood animation. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. Is that good or bad? What's better, to load pack scenes, use exports, or a file UUID? Well, if you're using the preload in GD script, then you can use the UUID if you like. Exports are good for if you don't want to use preload for whatever reason, or if your scene is configurable. Like, let's say you're creating a hit component and you've got like some particles that play when an entity gets hit, but you create several different entities and some of them have like a certain effect that they play when they get hit. Like if you have a mech, when you hit it, or a robot of some kind, it might emit particles that are more like sparks, whereas like a fleshy creature might have something more like blood. So in that case, you could use an export variable to store the particle scene that should be played when that entity gets hit, and that becomes configurable through the editor, so you don't need to worry about like using the code to differentiate the correct scenes to use. So that's an obvious case where you could use an export instead. But yeah. Oh wait, is it just the counter? Yes. If I understand your question correctly, yes. So we want the counter to go up. Animate up now. Ooh, subtle screen shake. Yes, screen shake is what I'm missing. Oh, screen shake when you collect one of the blood. I do want to do screen shake though for the blood particles. It's gonna sound so good too when I got sound effects in there. I mean, let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. What are you doing, cat? What are you doing? Okay, let's see. Oh, that screen shake is too high. And also, this doesn't need to be in here. I don't know if screen shake is going to work necessarily, but let's just see it. Ooh, that looks great. Yeah. I don't know if you can tell that well on this stream, but there is a very subtle screen shake every time I collect one of those. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think it's looking great. What params do you have for the screen shake? Do you have duration as well, or just intensity? Just intensity. Yeah, I don't, my camera shake is not that sophisticated. Actually, this is using a shaky camera implementation that I did a while ago, which I may change because it's a little bit weird, but yeah, all you can do is just call it with an intensity, and the duration of the intensity is basically defined by the camera's decay rate, if that makes sense. So the camera just always decays down back to 0 intensity over a certain amount of time, or at a certain rate. And so, yeah. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to do something like cinematic, though, where if I wanted a screen shake to have, like, if somebody's moving aside a stone door or whatever, and I want, like, it to shake constantly, that's not available in my shaky camera implementation. So it's kind of janky. It's just very, very basic, but it does the job for now. Okay, so add earned currency animation. Okay, so that will be it for the stream. I got to go prep for my meeting now. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you all for being here. Got a lot done on this stream, so I'm happy with it. But yeah, if you want to support my work, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways you can support me. You can purchase Gunforge, or you can purchase one of my Udemy courses. You can also hit the notification bell to be notified when new videos go live. I will be doing a code review video this week and probably publishing that on Saturday. So if you are interested in that, again, hit that notification bell. Would be cool to increase the value text with tween as the bloods are being collected. Yes, that's the next step. I just didn't have time to do that today. But we'll probably do that tomorrow on tomorrow's stream, so hope to see you there. All right, I should be available. Let me think. I will be available to stream at the usual time tomorrow, 10 a.m. So hope to see you there, 10 a.m. Eastern, that is. And have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.